So of course I gotta do a Charlie Kirk episode. Not really talking about his death, but his life and what a horrible person he was. His ilk isn't uncommon. Ben Shapiro, and pretty much in today's world, all of the white, conservative, far-right people say the same stuff, and it's not new stuff. They do a lot of talking about black people are bad. That's it. Black people are bad. That's really their main talking point. And the reason that works is because there are so many racist people. There are so many people that need black people to be bad to explain their life and how bad their life is. Or they need an enemy, or they're just racist. They were taught that black means bad, and this reinforces what you want to believe. So this video will probably go over 3 minutes, but I'm going to go ahead and dispel all the stupid things you believe about race in America very quickly. First, all the stats that they roll out that they use to show you how bad black people are. It's about jobs, it's about education, it's about crime, it's about welfare and government benefits or whatever, entitlements, all that stuff. No matter what they tell you about black people, no matter what numbers they have, every single time those numbers apply to poor people evenly across the board, and they never tell you that for a lot of reasons. And what I mean is those same things that they say about black people, they could say about poor white people. There are just more poor black people and poor Latino people per capita. But it's really an issue of poverty and not an issue of skin color. But since you're already racist, it is better for them to make it about skin color. Also, if they told you the truth and made it about poverty, you'd realize that this is kind of a class war and classism or casteism or whatever. And we could fight the actual oppressors together and maybe get somewhere. So they make it about race when that part isn't actually about race. First part. Second part, people like to say numbers don't lie. Well, that's not true. Numbers don't say anything, right? But people lie, and people use numbers to lie, and numbers don't tell the whole story. They never do. It's good to have facts and stats and stuff like that, but that's not the complete story. And it's the best lie when you can tell a little bit of the truth, when you can tell part of the story. And so I'm going to use one example to prove to you how all of the racist, white, conservative, far-right people use numbers to lie to you. Because numbers are the best way to lie, actually, especially if you're a type of person who's not that smart and is, hey, it's a fact. Look what the FBI website says. Let me show you how they lie with numbers. Charlie Kirk's favorite thing to say, and most conservative people, and especially conservative racist people, their favorite fact to cite is that there are no black men in black homes, and that's the problem. You need strong family units led by strong men, and there's no black men in the homes, and you can see the numbers. That leads to all sorts of crime and poverty, and because they don't have a man there, and he's not providing, and he's not raising, and there's no black men in the homes. That's what they say to you, and you all believe it. And they'll show a bunch of studies that say, hey, look, it's true. That's what they'll do. First, there are other studies that they never cite, lots of them over the last maybe 15 years or so, that show that black men in the homes are by far the most active with their children, by far. Multiple studies. They always leave that out. The second piece of that is they don't talk about how we define not being in the home or what a single mother is, because those numbers they use tend to be biological father, sperm donating partner. That has nothing to do with all the black men that are in the homes and are in the lives of young black people. Brothers, uncles, fathers, grandfathers, coaches, teachers, neighborhood people, pastors, stepfathers, fiancés of mothers, and boyfriends of mothers. And again, those black men are more active in those black kids' lives than any other racial group is in their kids' lives. Another thing they never say is that if it is true that having a father not in the home is some sort of deleterious effect on the youth, then I would look at white families, because I work with kids a lot. This is anecdotal, but I know it's true across the class that I'm going to talk about. White people with money, the men almost never see their kids. They go to boarding schools, they go to day schools and private schools, they go to overnight summer camps, they have nannies. Their fathers are not with them. They see them rarely. I worked with those kids for decades, And it's really sad when on parent day, they introduce me to a nanny or like a bodyguard. But nobody ever talks about that. And I can tell you that those kids all have lots of mental health issues. Those kids are all medicated. Those kids are all depressed. Maybe it's those kids that end up shooting up schools, or those are the kids that end up committing acts of political violence. Maybe those are the kids online right now saying absolutely insane stuff about black people. But the bigger point to all of this is that they've decided, based on an incomplete data set, that you need a father in the home, and obviously a biological father, because there's some magic in the DNA. A biological father needs to be in the home to raise a kid right. And actually, what tons of studies have found, including a couple that I was involved with at the University of Arizona, and a documentary that I made around that same time some years ago, and even Sesame Street, is that family is important. That's what studies say. And it doesn't matter what your family is, but that you do have a family. That family does not have to be your biological father. It can be a grandfather. It can be an uncle. It can be a big brother. It can be your mom's longtime boyfriend who raises you as his own son. And the stats don't say any of that. It says none of that. So when we're talking about single mothers in homes and single black mothers, my life very much felt like that because my parents were divorced. And my dad worked a job that took him out of town all the time, so he wasn't in town half the time. I didn't see him as much, mostly grew up with my mom. But when my dad was there, my dad threw the football. My dad played basketball. My dad went to the games. My dad went to a couple of awards and band concerts. My dad took us to the movies. My dad had picnics and barbecues. My dad took us on jobs where we do a little working and stuff like moving dishwashers and repairing washing machines. My dad had us painting the house and cutting the grass. And I did none of those things with my mom. But statistically, you could say that my dad wasn't there. But as far as what it meant to my life, I only had a dad. And I watched my dad do that with other boys in the neighborhood. I watched my dad go on field trips with me and do that with other kids on those field trips who didn't have their dads with them. My dad did that when I was in the performing arts company that toured the country. He was on the bus with me. But statistically, you could easily say that he wasn't there. He actually even had like 2 other families, not at the same time, but I mean, like, he had a family before my family, he had a family after my family. But he was still my dad. And even with my dad being there, technically I'm a high school dropout. Technically my brother, I think, is a high school dropout. But I guess I'm telling you all of this because it's way more complex than what they say when they say those numbers. Like, what is a dad? What is a family? How those people influence you? And why don't we ever talk about all those white dads that are biological and technically live in the same house, but they never see their kids. They never toss the footballs. They're never there. What's going on there? And then also remember the poverty piece. Because every bad stat that you're going to ever bring up about black people is really about poor people. And we can't ever talk about that because then we have to talk about poverty. And why do we have such large swaths of poor people in the quote-unquote greatest country in the world? Anyway, I know I said a lot of stuff. I threw a lot of stuff at you. I'm in the car because y'all like videos in the car. I don't have sunglasses on or a beard, but hopefully this works, and I'm out.